Well, the compact SUV space is completely loaded with a lot of rivals, and you can have your cake and eat it too in this segment, because every car offers something or the other for each individual. This, of course, is the Ford Ecosport. This is the original compact SUV. This is the first one which started this trend of compact SUVs, to be honest. And this is the SE version of the car. It's a new version of the car, which doesn't come with a spare wheel. So this is something new in terms of the looks. What do you think of the looks? You can let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see my Hindi review of this particular car, then you can check out my channel, which is Ashish Masih Car. I'll put the link in the description box below. Now, this is still a very desirable car. And before going further, let me just tell you that if you want a solidly built car, if you want a safe car, if you want a driver's car, the best driver's car in this segment, then the EcoSport still is the benchmark in the compact SUV segment. Anyways, let's jump inside the car, show you the interiors, and then we'll drive it around and tell you what makes the EcoSport still very desirable and what still has legions of fans going after this brand and going after this car at Ford dealerships. Let's get started with this video. I'm Ashish Masih and you're watching Autoportal. Boot, as you might be aware by now, is the online expert in terms of spare parts. If you want a spare part for your vehicle, they have it in their list. They have the most extensive spare parts catalog, right from the most affordable small car to the top of the line luxury car, you name the car, and they have the spare parts for it. And the best point is that they have the spare parts from a host of different component makers and different price segments for the same spare part. So if you want to buy a cheaper part from a different maker or a more expensive part from a different component maker, they have the option for you. You can check them out on your iOS as well as Android devices as well. Well, of course, the big difference on this car, as you all know, is that it doesn't have a spare wheel on the back. There's no spare wheel inside also, and the SE badge basically means that this car only comes with 4 wheels, not the 5th wheel. So how does the boot open up? Does it open like a hatch? Is the opening over here? Well, the opening isn't over here like it should be traditionally on a hatch kind of an opening. It's still on its original position over here inside the tail lamp design. So that's something which can be a little tricky for first time users, or maybe if you're going to a mall and they stop you, the security stops you for checking the car, you'll have to step out of the car and explain it to them that it doesn't open from here, and you'll have to open it this way. Then still opens up sideways, it doesn't open up upwards. So that's something which is still similar on the Ford EcoSport. Now, what do you get extra inside the car? In the boot rather, you don't get anything extra except the fact that you get a tyre air pressure system, which helps you inflate the tyre in case there's a puncture. Of course, you also get some other equipment which will help you keep the tires inflated. Apart from that, it's the same boot. It's 352 liters in terms of space and capacity. It's a square boot. It's a decent boot. It's not the biggest boot, but it's a very decent boot and a very respectable boot. There's a bit of a sill. It's not too much, and the floorboard also isn't too high up from the ground, so that's quite okay. My mother-in-law will give this boot a decent score of 8 out of 10 because it's a nice boot to accommodate her luggage for a 10-day trip to Delhi. Now, the big difference on the outside, if you haven't noticed, is that once you close the boot, I'll show it to you. The regular version or the other version of the car which has the spare wheel, the number plate and everything is over here on the bumper, but on this one you get a bit of a scuff plate or a fake kind of a scuff plate. So that's the only big change apart from the spare wheel not being there. What do you think of the look? You can let me know in the comment section below. And of course, if you want to watch my Hindi video, not too okay about English, then you can always check my channel out. The link is in the description box below. I primarily try and do more Hindi stuff on that channel. There is some English content as well, but mostly it is Hindi. Anyways, let's jump inside the car now and show you the interiors of the EcoSport SE and see if they're any different from the regular version of the car. Well, so let's talk about the interiors of the Ford Ecosport SE version. Now, in terms of the interiors, it's similar to the S-Line version of the car. You, of course, get this beige and this black over here, and the highlight of this cabin is the Ford Sync 3 enabled stereo system, the infotainment system. It's a very good system. In fact, it's the best system in this segment. You can't find a better system than this in terms of ease of operation, in terms of the usability, in terms of the overall high definition of the screen. It's just a fantastic system, and even the stereo quality is quite good. The speakers and the overall sound setup is quite good inside the car. It's one of the best systems in terms of sound quality. What you'll also like is the rich features list. You get 6 airbags in this top of the line version. You of course get traction control, you get 2 USBs over here, automatic climate control, automatic headlamps, tire pressure monitor, as well as cruise control and a host of other features and functions. The driver's seat can be adjusted for height as well, and the steering wheel can be adjusted for rake as well as for reach. So this is a feature which a lot of cars in this segment don't have to offer. They only adjust for rake and not for reach. And in terms of overall practicality, it's a nice place to be. Couple of beverage holders right over here, a big armrest which also is very deep, so you can keep a couple of bottles here, small ones, 500 ml ones, not the big ones, and the door bins are large enough to house that big bottle from your home. Now what I also like about the EcoSport, every time I get inside it, is this reassuring and solid sounding noise when you shut the doors. It's easily one of the best and safest cars in terms of build quality, and this noise just gives you a sense of security when you're traveling in this car with your entire family. So that's something which is also very good. In terms of some negative points, well, the overall look of the car, the interior look, is slightly looking a little dated now, because this is a refreshed model, and even the refresh has been about 3 years old now. So Ford should update the interiors. But other than that, in terms of the build quality, in terms of the plastic quality, in terms of seat comfort, in terms of the richness of the cabin, the look and feel, in terms of the stereo system, it's one of the best in the business. Let's see how good the back seat of the EcoSport SE is. Let's talk about the positives of the back seat first, and then we'll talk about some negatives as well. Another big positive is, of course, that you get an armrest over here and a couple of beverage holders in it. It's not very long, it's not a very long one, but even then it's quite okay if you want to rest like this. Now you don't get grab handles over here, and Ford says that's because the airbags are positioned in a way which means that you can't have those handles, and they don't look nice for a car which has so many airbags in terms of security and safety. So that's quite okay. The seats in themselves are very comfortable, very nice. The backrest angle is quite good. The support for your under thigh is good, and the seat squab is nice and wide. So whoever's sitting over here, even if he's got lanky legs like me, he'll be quite comfortable in these seats. And the hip and knee angle also is a nice 90 degree. The aperture of the door is also quite good and big, so getting in and out is not a difficult job at all. And in terms of space also, as you can see, it's quite about decent. It's not the best in the segment, but it's decent. Headroom is sufficient as well for someone who is my height, which reference is 5'10". Now that said, a couple of negatives. The first one is that you don't get AC vents at the back, and in 2021 that is something which every other rival is offering, except of course the Vitara Brezza. So I think that Ford should fix this and offer you AC vents at the back. And the second negative is, it's a personal opinion, it's something that you might say, well, I don't agree with, that the seat fabric, the color of the seat fabric, it just looks very dull and can tend to soil rather easily. It doesn't liven up the interior of the car like it should. So that's something which I personally don't like. And sorry Ford, but I reckon that the interior should have been either in grey or maybe in a darker shade. It would have been better, because this one just doesn't seem to lighten up the interior of the car and liven it up, because this is a sporty hatchback and the interior should reflect that. Sorry about that Ford, but that's something I had to say. Anyways, overall, decent place to be, and the seats themselves are quite comfortable. The Ford Ecosport has always come across as the best car in terms of pure driving pleasure in its segment. And if you're someone who just buys this car for the enjoyment, for the thrill of driving, for just having a smile on your face every time you take your car out for a spin, then this is a car which will truly delight you. The steering wheel is very precise, it's very accurate, it's very feelsome. When you take this car on sharper corners and push it into corners, it'll definitely grip very well. The steering wheel will give you good feedback, and there's hardly any body roll. In fact, whatever body roll is there, it's always under good control. So that is something which really does set this car apart from its rivals. What you'll also enjoy about this car is the grip level from the tires, because the grip is absolutely phenomenal. It's first rate, and even the braking of this car is very good. What you'll also like about this car is the fact that every time you take it out on the highway, the stability of the car is really rock solid, and it definitely feels a lot more stable than your last girlfriend ever did. What you'll also enjoy about the car is this 1.5 petrol engine. It's a very punchy engine, it's a very responsive engine, and it's also very refined. Now, even though it's only a 3-cylinder engine, There's no vibration inside the car, there's no harshness inside the car, and really the EcoSport is one of the best handling cars out there, irrespective of categories. You might choose a hatchback, you might choose an SUV, you might want a sedan. This is one of the top 5 cars in India at the moment in terms of the pure driving pleasure. And what you'll also like is the snickety snick gearbox, and it's a gearbox which you might just be changing gears for the heck of it, because it really is a very enjoyable gearbox to use. And the clutch action also is nice and springy. What I also liked about the car is the visibility is excellent. You get high set seats, the rear view mirrors are large and chunky, the mirror over here is nice and big, and of course there is a quarter glass window on both sides so that you can see around it, and when you're maneuvering this car around those bends, you can easily look through that quarter glass window. So what I'm essentially trying to say is that this is the best driver's car in the compact SUV segment. You can also choose the 1.5 diesel, which is a nice and punchy motor. It's also very refined, and of course the petrol, as I just said, is nice, responsive, as well as refined as well. So overall, double thumbs up to the Ford EcoSport in terms of driving bits. Just in the driving bits alone, I'll give it a strong score of 95 out of 100. It really is that good. Well, so if you're in the market for a compact SUV and you want the best car in terms of overall safety equipment, if you want the best car in terms of solid build quality, and you want the best car in terms of ride and handling and a good list of features, but don't want to spend an exorbitant amount, you don't want your pockets to be completely empty, then this is a very good option. You can buy it in diesel or in petrol. It's a decent value for money as well. And as a product, the Ford EcoSport still is a very good all-rounder. In fact, the Ford EcoSport isn't any compact SUV, it is the Ford EcoSport. It's bye for now, and thanks for watching.